Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got the tank review for the Tier 9 American medium tank, the M46 Patton. Now this is another tank suggestion and it was suggested by Snorlax quite a while ago, but I finally got round to it. I've had these games as well that you're going to be seeing in a bit sitting around for quite a while. But this generally is a tank that I love. Generally it's a very good tank. It's definitely worth grinding. It's just like the rest of the line, to be honest, but the American medium tank line is definitely a branch you want to go up. It's a fantastic set of tanks, and this is just another one of them. So let's get into the stats. So what does the M46 Patton have? Well, it's got 820 horsepower. This tank does get up to its top speed quite quickly, and quite decently, to be honest. It isn't the most mobile medium tank out there, right? It's not what it plays for. It's not like an AMX-30 that's like roaring around at 60. It's, you know, about 50 kilometers an hour, 55 top speed. Let's have a look. I'm pretty sure it's 50. Oh, it's even, no, it's not even that. It's 48 kilometers an hour top speed. So like I say, it's not the most mobile medium tank, but with 19 horsepower per ton, it does get up to that top speed very quickly, which is nice. So what else has it got? 6.67 rate of fire rounds a minute. That is incredibly good for a tier 9 medium. Most of the other tier 9 mediums are sitting at 6 rounds a minute or below. This tank has amazing DPM, and that is one of its very key strengths. You can absolutely work the enemy over very quickly, and it's great for that. So let's have a look at what the other tier 9 mediums have in terms of rate of fire. That's an autoloader, so it don't count. So 390 alpha, that's what we're going to look at. So 5.36, see, 1.3 rounds a minute less. Let's have a look at the E50. 5.45, still less than 1 round a minute less. Leopard PT8, it's getting closer, but it's still nowhere near that 6.67. MX-30 is exactly the same, 5.56, round a minute less. Gonna go to the Type 61, 6 rounds a minute. This is getting closer to that 6.67 round a minute rate of fire. The UDES 16, 5.31 again, way less DPM. And the Sharpshooter, again, it's not near that 6.67. So it does have best in class for the tier DPM. Honestly, it's amazing. But as you've seen, compared to all the others we've just looked at, 218 is not very good in terms of PEM. It's decent, and it's a very American medium tank thing, because the T-54E1 also has 210 PEM. So, it's a very medium American thing. But 218 PEM, I mean, you can use it. It's still usable. You're still alright against tier 8s, tier 9s. Tier 10s is where it starts to struggle a little bit. You're starting to look at the heavy tanks and you really can't pen them that much with the 218 pen. But that's where the 265 APCR pen comes in. Because the 265 APCR pen is very good. It's usable against pretty much everything except for stuff like maybe mouses or Type 5s. I mean, you can still pen mouses with it, right? The lower plate might be a bit troll, but you can actually go through the mouse's turret cheeks with the 265, which is quite funny. But it's one of those things where it's like a 50-50 shot. You might see that in the replays coming up. I can't quite remember what the games are, because I have had them lying around in my HDD for quite a while. But yeah, I mean, you can just deal with pretty much everything quite easily, to be honest. And it is nice. It is nice to have that 265 APCR pen, but compared to all the other medium tanks, except for maybe the E50 and the Sharpshooter, all of the others tend to be packing around 268 pen. And so you actually have less pen on your prem rounds than most of them on their standard rounds. But on the whole, the pen's not that bad. It just means that this tank generally, you'll probably have to fire quite a bit of premium when it comes to facing tier 10s. That's a downside. That is one of its weaknesses. But at the same time, it doesn't hold the tank back. It's not, say, having 240 prem pen and then like 200 standard pen for a tier 9, you know. It doesn't hold the tank back. It can still work perfectly well. In terms of the aim time, we've got a 2-second aim time, which is fantastic. I think, again, this is the best in class for its aim time, which is great. I think the only one that comes close is the Leopard PTA at 2.1 aim time. 0.37 accuracy is not good. It is kind of derpy, but again, that sort of fits the American medium tank mantra, where they're not like super snipers, you know, but they do hit quite a lot. This one does hit quite a bit, but it does derp its shells, which is, it can be kind of annoying when you really do need to hit that shot, right? And it can be mixed with 218 penetration, can be a little bit troll, because you're thinking, I just need to pen the lower plate of a Conqueror, kill it, and you hit the upper plate because accuracy, right? 390 alpha obviously is great. Traverse speed, it turns fine. It's pretty good at turning. 216 turret armor. Now this used to be worse on the M46 Patton, but 216 turret armor is okay. It's not a turret you want to rely on. Okay, I'll have a look at it in the armor model for you. So if you see around the gun mantler, it's kind of okay. The turret cheeks aren't too good though, but it is angled, so it can be okay. I'd say it can pull off the troll ricochet bounces, you know, and especially if you're using your gun depression, it's pretty decent. But the big problem is, it's just not like, it's not reliable. It's not like, say, you're using a Centurion 7.1 where you basically get hulled down and just laugh at everyone. But it's not exactly like an MX-30 where you just cry when people shoot you and you just get penned. Or a Leopard PTA even is better representation of that. It does pull off quite a few troll bouncers, but again, you shouldn't rely on it. Don't think, oh, I'm hulled down now, I'm safe. Okay, it doesn't work like that. This turret is troll. But it's nice to have that ability to pop up on a ridgeline and sometimes laugh as they bounce on you. You know, I have bounced the Jagdpanzer around once or twice on this as well in the past. Again, it depends on the situation, depends on how they hit you. You know, it's all the RNG factors that go into it. So it's got 40 traverse speed, 40 degrees a second traverse speed on the turret, which means the turret turns really quickly. You know, it's nice. 410 meters view range is fantastic. It means you can outspot so many tanks. The view range is just amazing. There's a couple of tanks that do have 410 view range on mediums, and it's a good view range to have. It means you're never lacking in that view range department. So let's have a look at the other module stats. So let's say 19 horsepower per ton. Great, you get up to top speed quite quickly. You've got 20% fire chance, which means if they do shoot you in the back towards the engine, damage it, you probably will get set on fire. It's probably best to run fire extinguishers, but at the same time I run food, because food just helps you out a lot generally. There's a lot of stats like the aim time, the accuracy, the view range, where it does help you out by just increasing those little bits, which is quite nice, and it does make a difference. 20 kilometers an hour top reverse speed, sorry, means you get out of dodge really quickly when you need to reverse around a corner. That's great. It's not slow by any means. So we've got accuracy on rotating the turret 1.18. Again, it doesn't bloom very much when you turn the turret, which is great. Accuracy on the move isn't actually that bad at 1.95. I mean, it's not like the tier 10, the tank after it, the M48 Patton, which is just beautiful for shooting on the move. It really does hit most of the time, the M48 Patton, when you're firing on the move in it. But don't expect that much from this, although it can. Just think it can. If you're on the move and you need to get to another position and you see someone that you can shoot at, don't stop, just fire. Just keep moving to your position and fire anyway, because there is a good chance, you know, it's not horrific accuracy on the move, dispersions, it's okay. 10 degrees of gun depression, fantastic, just what you want, means you're really, really flexible. 410 view range, like I say, covered that. 945 meters a second on the AP isn't the best. It does feel a little bit slow at times. Add that with the sort of derpier side of the gun handling, and it can be a bit troll. The 1181 meters a second APCR velocity is pretty nice. You do notice the step up in the velocity when you switch between the two rounds, and that can be nice at longer range. You've got 23% camo, which is decent for a medium tank, especially one that's it's reasonably tall. So if you buff it up with camo stat perks, you can remain hidden when firing through bushes quite a lot. Generally, it's quite nice, but it's not the stealthiest medium tank. It's not, say, a UDES 16, which has 28% camo. You know, the UDES 16 does stay hidden quite a lot, whereas this one doesn't quite. But if you utilize the crew and you get a decent camo perks and stuff like that, it can be quite good. The armor, like I say, the hull armor is poo-poo. It gets wrecked quite a lot. It's just not the best hull armor. You shouldn't rely on it. 76mm of side armor means you can side scrape in this thing if you need to, just like the M48 Patton, but again, it's not something you should be relying on the actual hull armor itself, so I couldn't recommend doing that generally. But like I say, if you're in a tight corner and you need to side scrape and you need to try and bait shots, you can do it. Like I've already covered, the turret armor as well is quite troll. It's one of those that you shouldn't expect to bounce, but at the same time you can bounce, especially if they hit anywhere near your gun mantlet. So what do I run in terms of equipment? I tend to run rammer, vert stabs, and optics. I mean, that's generally what I run anyway, because I do like to run optics to max out view range and stuff like that. You could run vents with 410 meters view range. You could run vents very, very easily. Okay, you don't have to fork out for the optics. The vents could help with so many other things like the accuracy and stuff like that, and just make it a lot nicer generally. So I would probably recommend you could put vents on it, but I'm always the way that I like to just farm the spots, basically. I like to max out my view range, and I like to be able to see people at any range and not get out spotted generally, and it does tend to work in getting good spots and good assistance. But anyway, that's the M46 Patton part. That's the review part of this done. I'm going to send you over to the replays, and yeah, I just love this tank. So have fun with the replays. I'll see you there in a minute. So here we are, the M46 Patton, and we're on Mountain Pass with Swindle, and we're playing this tank again. And I have 3-marked it twice. That shows my love for this tank. I absolutely adore it. It is a great tier 9 medium tank, and in this game we've got the perfect matchmaker. There's only like 3 tier 9s. We should be able to boss it if we can. So we're gonna rush across to the normal line that I'd go through, which is J2 roundabouts, and that's because that 9-0 is just it's pretty crappy, to be honest. The ice road on this map is not a good place to go generally, especially for our spawn, because the north spawn can just sit on top of that ridge line and have shots down at you easily, and they can stay hull down really easily. And if our guys push too aggressively down the D line as well and try and get up onto that ridge line, they can just get shot in the butt from the middle and from quite a few other places. So it's not really the route to take all that often. Obviously the other issue is with the way we've just gone is you've got to be in a tank that's quite quick, which is why people don't often do it. Well, generally people don't do it that much anyway, and that's because if you don't get across that gap very quickly and you get spotted, you do get wrecked. So I can understand why people do it. It's just the fact that the other flank isn't much of an option either, so it's a bit of a problem. But here we are, right? Okay, DPM is great. Like that leopard, we're gonna hello bulldog. Sorry, what? Fair play, bulldog. Fair play. But yeah, I was gonna say DPM. We are gonna be able to reload so much quicker than these guys. And look at the situation that we're in at the minute. We are not in a good situation. We've pressed A because we can't pen the E75 from the front really pretty reliably at all. So we need the APCR because that's where our pen would let us down. But we're using the wreck of this dead M41 bit in front of us as well to try and shield us from these guys. Now, we are severely outnumbered here. Like, this situation I'm in, I don't quite know how I get out of it, but I do. They're rushing, but I mean, well, I say I don't know how we don't get out of it. Well, a lot of it is down to them. Number one, they don't play very well, and number two, the DPM of this tank, right? Because I've got 3 tanks in front of me. All 3 don't reload anywhere near as quick as I do. So I can just keep working them over. As long as they keep donking the shots like they are, I can just keep firing over and over and over and over and over and wreck them really quickly. So as we shut down that Leopard, and obviously the close range engagement we're in at the minute, it doesn't really matter all that much for the accuracy of the gun, because if we're going to miss at this range, then something's wrong. So obviously you saw the shot on the lower plate of the E75 bounce as well a minute ago. That's generally down to the APCR. It's not going to do well against how angled that guy was. And it was really a sad, silly shot to take. And again, he's just way too angled for the APCR to go in, which that's just the awkwardness of APCR. But yeah, Swindle's gone. He's like, let's just go. So he ends up taking the hit, killing the E75, and we push through the flank. Now, to be honest, that little brawl then was crazy. I have well, I do have no idea. The only reason I survived that is because the enemy team were just not that great, and the M41 Bulldog threw himself in front of me and gave me great cover. That meant I could side scrape off, use the troll turret, which they could only just about clip the top of, which they weren't always in a pen. I could side scrape off it as well, which, like I've said in the review part, that the armor's good, you can do it. And kaboom! Off with his head! Just like that. 1k. 1k with the head of the Patriot gone. On the move, delicious. And we're still advancing. But yeah, the reason I survived that is because the enemy team was not very good. Like, I should never have survived that little moment we had in a realistic world. But hey, I mean, this has been a really quick game and we've just blitzed through. And like I said, a lot of it is down to how good the reload is on this tank, because it is fantastic. Yeah, like, I'll always say I love this tank. It's like the M48 at tier 10. I absolutely love that one as well. They're just both fantastic tanks, and the entire line for the Americans is really great. So we ended that game. It was a pretty quick game. We ended with 6.4k damage, high caliber ace tanker. Must have made 47,000, even though we fired a fair bit of prem at the E75. But I mean, we fired what we needed to where we needed to. But that was decent. 1691 base XP, 21 shots fired, 19 hits, 15 pens. And like I say, if we were missing shots there at the range we were at, I would have been disappointed, because, well, we were at point blank. It's when you get to sniping that this gun can let you down a little bit. But, you know, it's just I think that's the drawbacks of it. I mean, if it didn't have those sorts of drawbacks, then it would be pretty overpowered, wouldn't it? If it was, say, like a sniper accurate gun. So, yeah, anyway, here we are on Lakeville, and we're platooned up with Chopper this time. And I mean, if you don't know who the legend is, I will link his YouTube down in the description below. He's a fantastic guy, great CC. And who doesn't love Chopper? Top bloke. So, we're going to go to E4, aggressive position. The position that I often go to in something that's mobile and got good view range, and that's where this thing comes in handy, right? Because the view range is great. We've got 410 metres view range, we've got a decent crew, and I think in the M46 at this point I've probably got like, what, 5 skill crew, 6 skill crew? Yeah, because this is on my main, yeah, so it's only got a 5 or 6 skill crew in it, because, no, it's not even that, it's a 4 skill crew, because it's a new crew that I put in it, because it was one of those tanks that I threw out a long time ago, and I moved the crew on, so it's not got the best of crews in it. But I've been slowly but surely working the crew to be decent again. Because I always say 5 skills is about right. That's where you're starting to hit the sort of, now I'm quite happy with this comfortably. Now we can push on to make it even better generally. And 5 skills is where I feel like you're getting the best out of the tank with the crew. So, we didn't really spot much. We only spotted that stockade, and then there's this T95E6. So I kind of was like, okay, if there's that T95E6 there, and there was only that stockade I spotted across it, and I was there pretty quickly, and I wasn't spotting anything shooting from the little ridges on the left either. I think it's safe to go in. So I moved up, shot the T95E6, and then it's like, oh, okay, hello, there's a 113 and a mouse. Okay. It's going to be a bit of a struggle. That mouse we're never going to pen that with standard. Not in a million years. So we're switching to Prem. We're going to aim for his lower plate if we can get it.
we'll pop a shot. There's the turret armour, like I say. You shouldn't really rely on it, but, you know, Mouse with his standard rounds isn't always going to pen it either. Awkward angles, it bounces. But there we go, the Eradicator pens us in the turret that time. We'll pop a shot into his side. We're loading standard again for him, but he gets shut down, so we reload the Prem back in. Because we've got two Mouse in front of us. It's going to be a struggle. It's probably the best way of putting it. It's going to be a bit of a struggle. Because, obviously, the Mouses, like, look at that. Ricocheted off the lower plate. And again, it's pretty well angled. That's why we missed that. And it's kind of like it wasn't the E75 in the last game, where it's not always guaranteed to go in. But we're just going to try and work this ridge line. Like I say, trying to keep ourselves sort of hull down. But there we go. Mouse turret. Straight through the cheeks. Because the flat part is about, what, 260? It's about 260 millimeters thick, and obviously we've got 265. So we're not always guaranteed to go through it. But the way these Mouses are doing it, where they're looking at me, means that it's completely flat. And at the range we're at, there's no APCR drop off, and we should hopefully go through it most of the time, which is what we're doing. We are abusing the Mouse's turret cheeks right now, and they're not playing it smart. They could be angling it up better than they are, but they're not. I thought at the time I was quite fortunate as well, because there we go, we ricochet one, because it doesn't always happen. Like I've had higher pen guns that don't go through the Mouse turret that with as much ease as I'm doing right now. So, I don't know, I feel like I'm getting a little bit lucky with it, but, you know, we'll take what we can get. We shut down the first Mouse, and we're going after the second now. Like I say, it's just a DPM. I mean, look how quick we've been tearing at these guys. Like I say, that Mouse is just looking at me. He should be angling his turret, but he's looking at me trying to get the shots, and it's just making his armour poop, generally. So, you know, going through quite easily. Now he's looking away. This is where it's going to be problematic, right? But it flies in anyway. Like I say, I feel like those shots were getting very lucky, generally, with how they were flying in. We get a nice shot into the RT as well, kill him. And we're going to go for this 113. Now, this guy, I won't pen in his upper plate, but we get round him, so easy pens. He gets crushed by Chopper in style. We finished that game with a nice amount of damage. And it was another game that was pretty damn quick as well, but it shows what the M48 can do with its DPM. As we finished that game, we've got an ace tanker, sniper medal, 5.3k damage, 1500 assistance. And yeah, I love this tank so much. The American tank line, medium tank line anyway, is most definitely worth going down. It's a fantastic line. The T20's nice, the M4 variants are good, the Pershing's a very good tank, this is a great tank, the M48 is an absolute beast. So these tanks are worth going for, and this tank is definitely worth grinding for. So as always everybody, I hope you enjoyed the review, and I'll see you next time.